Hello everybody, John McGee here with Native Plant Podcast, McGee Design, and I'm here with the Capital Naturalist Alonso Abugattas, and we are bringing you vernal pools today. Alonso, thank you so much for joining us.
So happy to join you and on what turns out to be a pretty active day.
Very beautiful day. It's been sunny and in the 70s all week, so we've got tons of frog activity going on, tons of amphibian activity going on. Alonso, could you tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're looking at?
Certainly. I'm also the Natural Resources Manager for Arlington County Parks, and we are in an Arlington County Park. In this case, it's Barcroft Park, which is one of our natural resource conservation areas. And what we're looking at is the end side of a temporary wetland, a vernal pool, which we put up every year for the last 4 years. So we set up a temporary breeding pool for all of these really cool amphibians you kind of hear in the background. And then by June, when their life cycle is over, we open it back up, don't let the water recede a little bit, and it's just ongoing process of providing temporary breeding activity for some really cool species.
I see you've brought us to kind of a dam in the stream here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, sure. So this is one of our temporary pools again. These are quick dams, at least that's what we call them. This is some material that's used for flood control. There's a gel inside which expands dramatically once it's wet, and so they're easy to lay out. And when the water hits them, they expand. We put them in place, and they form a temporary pool. We can flood this area for a few months, which is all what they need. Much easier to deal with than pure sandbags, which are a pain to move, let me tell you. And when we don't need them anymore, we can remove these. This makes it so that if people wanted to form a temporary pool, they don't want the area flooded for a period of time, but they know that there's some amphibians that take advantage of these things. You can put them up in a good location. Again, this 2 water sources come in, and we just hold it back for a little bit. They're easy to move. They hold water. They stand up fairly well for the whole summer. But for us, again, 3 months later, 4 months later, we yank them on out, let the system go as normal, and then we can put them in again when we need to. And if we find a better location, there you go. We can move it every year to take advantage of what we see as being that year's better area. We started with one down there, now we're moving it up this way. We may keep it here next year, but we have the option of starting a new one here, a new one there, wherever we want to, and give the amphibians opportunity. Quick dams, temporary pools, easy to do, whether it's on, in a park or in a home. If you have something you wanted to try, and something that you can do very quickly to establish a breeding area for all sorts of amphibians.
Something that I always talk to homeowners about, when builders build subdivisions around here, they typically grade everything off as quickly as they can, and so there's typically swales throughout people's property. Is this something that someone could just kind of dam up their swale and create a pond?
You definitely could. Now, again, you wet it and whatever, much easier to move around. We've done similar things in again, other places where we're testing it. We want to see if anything will use it. And then no harm done. If it didn't work out, whatever, we don't do it there again, and we can easily move them again. So this is a great temporary way of setting up detaining the water for a set period of time for whatever reason you may want. And again, we've used it quite a bit to form these pools in a variety of situations, in streams, in areas where we wanted temporary pools. We've also used it to form temporary holding pens, as it were, for certain things while we did some work, and then we allowed the water to continue. So multiple abuses, and these are fairly easy to do. We find that the smaller bags are easier to move around, but they've got long 10-foot ones that expand too if you wanted to kind of use it that way. And they seal themselves because when they expand, they block the water one way or another.
Well, the one last thing I wanted to touch on while we're here, I'm looking behind you, and I'm seeing the skunk cabbage coming up over there. Woo. And probably one of my favorite ephemeral, wildflowers in the spring. And then we passed some magnolia. We passed some sweet bay magnolia on the way down here. Is sweet bay magnolia kind of the indicative plant of a magnolia bog?
Yeah, so there's about 5 or 6 plants that people always look for, which includes something like sphagnum moss. But again, the other nickname, they call them magnolia bogs for a reason, and that is that's the easiest because it's, most it's semi-evergreen and all this. It's the easiest plant to spot any time of year when you're doing a survey. And magnolia bogs, that is the signature plant of what makes magnolia bog a magnolia bog. And they're very wet tolerant. They're amazing little plants. And again, we have quite a few of them spread out through here because this is a magnolia bog, or the bottom end of a magnolia bog as it were.
Fairly acidic, or?
Very acidic, and again, part of it having to do with that allows for the sphagnum moss and things like that to survive. I'm not going to say that's always 100% typical of a magnolia bog, or a vernal pool for that matter, but because many of these are on the side of woods, and a lot of it, like oak leaves and things like that, those are acidic plants when they die, the tannins and so forth. So most of these vernal pools tend to be more acidic than not.
Good.